Hi, good morning. This is Dancing Rabbit with the late weekend pagan perspective, and perhaps it is still the weekend somewhere in the known or unknown universe. Just got back from a wonderful Samhain festival, Council of the Magical Arts, over at Spirit Haven, Texas, and a little tired but happy. And now it's back to work in the everyday world. Uh, this week's question has to do with an entity that is living, taking up residence in a house, a particular room of a house, and the entity doesn't seem to be very nice. And what do we do? How do we get rid of it, move it on? Blood was accidentally shed, a banishing spell has already been done, but the thing is still there and still causing some problems. I'd also like to touch briefly on last week's question, since I missed last week, about the Akashic Records. Okay, this week's question. I don't have any personal experience with ghosts or entities or what people would probably call a haunting. I can't tell you, this will work because I've done it. So I guess maybe I should stop there. But, of course I won't, because this would make a really short video, and what would be the point? I think that the accidental bloodletting probably has nothing to do with anything unless you want to make it have something to do with something. It was an accident. I think rather than approaching this as a power over sort of thing, as one might do in ceremonial magic, of trying to banish, get rid of this, whatever it is, that you should spend a little time trying to get to know it and be maybe sympathetic with its plight or how it got stuck there, and then enable or encourage it to move on. If you possibly have anybody that you could actually bring into the situation, I'm not talking about a professional psychic or professional ghost hunter. In my opinion, that might be a really good way to get ripped off, even if you can find someone like that. But if you can bring a fellow pagan in, spend some time being open, getting to know this whatever it is, and then encouraging it to move on. Not get out of here because I'm telling you to, but very gently move on. Be sure that you do grounding before and after, maybe cleansing of yourself, and of course shielding. If there are any you have any contact with hoodoo practitioners, root doctors, or brujeria practitioners, then they might have more practical experience with this. If you're not able to get it to move on, then you have a choice of living with it and whatever manifestations it's doing. Be sure that you regularly ground, shield, cleanse yourself, and you just have to put up with it. Like maybe the house is drafty and you don't have time to completely remodel the house, or there's some squeaking and thumping in the pipes, but you can't afford to replumb the whole house. Just something you put up with, that it's not going to really hurt you. It's just annoying, and then you can treat it as sort of quirky, giving personality to the house. Or you could yourself move on somewhere else if it's just unbearable. Apparently other people have. Now to last week's question, Akashic Records. Akasha is the Sanskrit word for sky, or the ether, that that other level beyond. So the idea is that somewhere outside the physical universe, in the etherical plane or wherever, there is a detailed record of all of our actions, and I suppose words and thoughts as well as deeds, being continually kept. It's sort of the pagan slash New Age version of the Christian book of life. And so instead of a recording angel writing down all your deeds and misdeeds, this is just automatically kept by the universe. Now, I think this concept would be really important if you had an active view of karma. If you believe that karma includes all your deeds and records, so that there has to be some way of keeping up with what you did good and what you did bad. If some sort of rewards and punishments, your bad karma comes back to you threefold, or your good karma comes back to you either in this life or in some other life or existence. If that's the way karma actually works, then there has to be some record so that these punishments and rewards can be meted out. Now, personally, I don't view karma like that. My view of karma is that it's the natural consequence of your actions. I mean, if you eat too many green apples, you get a stomach ache, and that to me doesn't require there being some cosmic record of your apple eating. It's just a natural consequence. If you do things that are harmful to other people, then perhaps they take that anger or that hurt and they go hurt someone else in return. Or the fact that you have hurt someone changes your character, makes you a more naturally hurtful person. I mean, I guess the first murder is in cold blood is a little difficult to stomach, but by the time you've done it a few dozen times, it gets easier. That sort of thing. My view of karma is that it's just the natural action. It's the natural reaction to people's actions. And so it doesn't require any sort of cosmic record of it. It just naturally happens. Stuff falls down. Not because the earth thinks about it and grabs stuff. It's just gravity. It's just the way things work. I don't know how one would access these records. I've never met anyone who even claimed to have access to the Akashic Records. And since there's no way to physically check this out, I don't know how any claim to being able to read the Akashic Records would be verified. I think perhaps one of the negative or bad sort of consequences of a faith in, a belief in the Akashic Records would be that we are less likely to depend on to produce our own records. Your book of light and shadows, your journals, they're unnecessary if there are these infallible Akashic Records that one could access. Looking into your family history and genealogy would be, sort of a moot thing if all of this stuff is recorded in detail somewhere in the universe and you conceivably you could access it. I'm very involved in family history and genealogy, looking into my ancestors. I think it's interesting, if nothing else. I think lessons can be learned from it, or it's a way of connecting to my past, to my ancestors. And if there are Akashic Records, then it would be a whole lot better if I just accessed them and quit worrying about digging through the courthouse for actual physical records. So those are my thoughts on both of the subjects, and I'm sorry that I don't have personal experience with haunting entities or with accessing or depending on Akashic Records. I really like to speak from my personal experience rather than some kind of theoretical stuff. But that's the question, and this is my video. Been 10 minutes. Hopefully it will upload properly, and next time I'll be a little bit closer to on time. So for now, bye bye. Off to work.